is Eric Schwarzhoff. I am a tenor with Vancouver Chamber Choir, and I've been singing with the choir for about 4 years now. So when I was in university, I did my bachelor's and master's in music and opera, but I decided that because I loved choral singing so much, that I really wanted to join Vancouver Chamber Choir. So I actually tried a couple of years before I joined Chamber Choir to join, and was rejected. And then a few years later, I actually was accepted. So I was incredibly happy to have been accepted to Vancouver Chamber Choir. My standout memories in Vancouver Chamber Choir would definitely be the tours. So far I've only done 2 different tours. The first was the summer tour, where we got to go throughout Ontario, and it was incredibly hot, but it was very enjoyable to be around other people. We're all experiencing the same thing, seeing how much people sweat versus me when in 40-degree weather wearing tuxedos. And the second tour we did was a 19-day tour throughout Canada, and it was the complete opposite, where we got freezing cold weather in those days. So it was a very big balance between weather types. Right, when the pandemic hit, I definitely lost a lot of different singing opportunities where I used to work in large groups with amateur singers. And I would be helping them along. I would do a lot of voice lessons with older singers, and all of that completely ended as soon as the pandemic hit. It was my church job with St. Mary's in Kerrisdale with Bridget Coulton and Susan Ohanessian, who I was keeping on throughout the summer. Actually, I was doing Saturday organ prelude concerts with the organist, where I was singing the different hymns, and I would do solos sometimes every week at a time. And that was really keeping me going during the hardest times of the pandemic. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. But then when Vancouver Chamber Choir started back up in September, it was finally a wonderful experience coming back to choral singing again, being able to sing with large groups of people, even though we had to be spaced out wearing masks. Right, singing behind a mask, I feel it's a lot harder to control how much breath you're able to take. You need to actually make sure you're taking in enough breath, even though you have less air that you can take in. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot more focus on breath control when you're wearing a mask. And the sound doesn't carry as well, so you actually have to make sure that you're creating a sound that will still carry to the back of the room, even though you may only be singing to a mic right in front of you. It's also a lot harder to hear other people who are wearing masks, so you actually have to keep your focus a lot more on everything else, a lot more on people who are a lot further away from you. I think in the long run, once we've lost the masks and we're back to normal, keeping that focus on breath control and listening much harder to people who are farther away from you could help, yes. The concert that stands out for me so far this year would be the Chant Center concert that we did in September. It was a giant venue. It was the very first concert that we did back after a long period of the pandemic, so that was extra special for me. We also did a piece where we did twice, once as an encore, where we actually took off of our masks. Mm-hmm. And I loved the music in that one, and it was just an incredible experience doing that. I'd say you're never too young or never too old to get into singing. When you're retired and you've had your full careers done and you've got extra time on your hands, and you've thought about singing, you've enjoyed listening to concerts, you've always thought that might have been a fun thing to do, but my best days are, of singing vocally are behind me, but that may not be true. You may actually, having heard much of this, you might actually have a better start in maybe not a career in singing, but in being able to enjoy singing. I've been doing a lot more solo material ever since the pandemic hit. I've been going through my catalogs of music and finding all kinds of mostly sacred music that I've been doing for my church gig, but as well as when I was doing the Saturday organ and prelude concerts at St. Mary's Kerrisdale. There would often be a selection of non-sacred music that I would be able to perform with the organist. My idea of happiness is to be able to spread happiness to other people, to make them smile, to make other people laugh, and being able to see that I'm able to reflect their happiness within myself. I find that my singing can definitely provide happiness in others, and that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy singing so much, is that I can make other people happy. I think the greatest virtue comes hand in hand with optimism, which is hope. I think a lot of people lose track of hope and optimism when things are really getting them down and things are very overwhelming to them. But if they can really focus in on hope, keeping that optimism alive in their lives, things will get better. I'm staying optimistic by the fact that I know that I'm able to keep singing, and I know that despite not being able to see people being happy in front of me, I'm able to know that eventually we'll be back to having audiences again. We'll be able to join hands and celebrate being together again.